And hello, everybody. Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday episode of our COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge MasterMind. I'm really excited that you're all here. And we have an exciting program tonight. My name is Mike DeLuca, and I will be facilitating tonight's program. This program is brought to you by my little company, Integrative Wellness and Development, LLC. And the purpose of this program is always about education, personal development, personal unfoldment. We are here to educate, we are here to inspire, perspire, and give you ideas, tools, and experiences to help in every aspect of your life. We, of course, have to let you know this program is not about diagnosis, treatment, or prevention of any illnesses or conditions, even though tonight we're going to be talking about going back into the past and looking at some situations that may have been challenging and turning those around into opportunities for growth. This is not any form of therapy, nor do we make any claims of results that you will have. This is all about you having the opportunity to experience new tools and new realities. So with that, welcome. And of course, we want to welcome the folks who are joining us through our Facebook live stream. Welcome, folks, and really glad that you're here. And so I'm going to get started with a little bit of a story. And that story was about a close friend of mine from years back. He was the son of two very famous celebrities. And as such, celebrities' children sometimes don't get the attention they needed from parents. And so oftentimes he spent a great deal of his time apart from his parents. That created some stress, that created some self-image, challenges, some cravings for love and attention. And, he had some really tough, challenging times. And I remember talking with him, and he said, one thing I used to do is I used to write a poem. He said, I wrote a poem every day and had them in this box, and they were dated. And one night, he was looking back at his past many years later as an adult, and he had been, doing a great deal of personal introspection, personal development, and spiritual development. And he decided that he wanted to work with this concept of going back to the past to bring the perspective of his present, which is the future person for his past person, right? And so he decided that he would go into a meditation and contemplation. And he would go back to an evening that was probably the worst evening in his teenage years. It was an evening where things were so bad he was contemplating doing something very, very, very negative and possibly very hurtful to himself. And so he went back to this time, this very dark time in his meditation. And he saw himself back into that bedroom of himself when he was a young child. And as he entered into the room, he surrounded himself with all the love that he could muster from his higher states of being, right? Filled himself with that love to where when he walked into that room, he was shining with that love. And when his past younger self saw him, he was touched. And my friend looked at his self from the past, his younger self, with all the love in his heart and flowing through his eyes. And he whispered one word with all that love. And that one word was patience. You know, patience. I come from the future. I've seen what is possible. And I know what you have inside of you. I know the possibilities you have inside of you. And I know what can be. Patience was the most important gift he could give his younger self at that time. And so after that experience, my friend woke up and took some time to really contemplate on that experience. And later on, he was thinking about that day, and he went through his file of poems, and he went to the date of that occurrence. And to his astonishment, there was a new poem sitting in that box with that date that he had never seen before. And the poem said something like this: "Thank you, O wise one. The one word that you uttered, patience, made all the difference." And he said in that moment, he could feel the past, the present, and the future all connected. And it opened up new doors of possibilities for him. And it can do the same for us. I'm going to share my screen here. And so, you know, the title of our discussion today is Reframe the Past to Change Your Present and Build a Powerful Tomorrow. So what does that mean? Let's first look at reframing the past. What does that mean? Well, you know, every experience that we have, we look at that experience through the lenses of our state of experience, our state of knowledge, our state of wisdom, our state of consciousness in that moment. And that's what filters the experience. And oftentimes we look at that experience and it's affected by a number of things in our viewpoint. So I believe, and what I teach in my programs, and what many of you have learned through your own experience, and what quantum physics talks about all the time, and what's being used right now in the formulation of technology to help us travel through space at greater speeds and less time. This quantum concept is that the past, the present, and the future are actually simply different resonating frequencies of the same reality. So the past is going on right now. We have our consciousness focused in the present. So we are focusing in the reality that is vibrating in harmony with the state of consciousness we are operating from here in the present. And to some folks, the future is illusion. It doesn't exist yet. But in what I've experienced and what I teach in my program is the future is existing right now. And we can move into the future to take a higher viewpoint of a situation. And then we can move that viewpoint back and forth to change what we've accepted as reality and change our reality. And so we could look at a situation in the past, but from a higher viewpoint, as my friend did, In that moment of sheer despair and depression and sadness, he brought from the future hope, a sense of clarity, and an understanding that when we go through these difficult times, it's actually strengthening us. It's maturing us. It's giving us a different opportunity of growth. And as a result, that change in viewpoint we take back into the past, we plant seeds that grow new realities into the present. And because of those new realities, we can change and build a more powerful future. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Right? So reframing the past is going back into the past, looking at the situation, then changing what it is we're focusing on and how we are interpreting it. Okay? When we make that change in interpretation, and we now look at that and say, this is what I'm going to be focusing on from now on. I'm going to be focusing on this new reframing, right? I'm going to be looking at where is the pony in this pile of poop. And instead of focusing on the poop, I'm focusing on the pony. And then the pony manifests. I'll give you another example from an experience I had. When I was very, very young, I battled with, constant cycles of being really overweight. I had some challenges with my feet and knees and back. And I was never much good in physical education. But I tried my best, and I tried to do the things I loved really well. But I remember there was a watershed experience for me where we were in elementary school and we were doing gymnastics, which for an overweight, uncoordinated kid is not the thing that, is going to turn out well. But I never gave up. And so one day I remember we had to jump onto a springboard, and then the spring up and vault over a horse that was there in front of us. And I'm sure many of you have seen that, whether you did it in school or you saw it in, gymnastics meets or in the Olympics, right? And of course, the more coordinated, stronger, taller, thinner, folks in my class, ran gracefully, hit that springboard, and they hit their hands on the horse and flipped up in the air and then landed gracefully, and it looked awesome, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm sweating and I'm knowing this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. And I could have not done it, but I wasn't going to give up because that was my nature. No matter what, I didn't ever want to give up. And so it was my turn and everyone is laughing at me. So I stand up, I look, I start running, I hit the springboard, but I didn't spring high enough and I smashed groin first into the horse. Doubled up in pain and slid down the wall like, when Wile E. Coyote is riding a rocket and then it hits into the wall and he just splatters and then just slides down that wall, just completely destroyed. And I'm in this puddle on the ground and everybody's laughing hysterically. And I carried that embarrassment with me for a long time. And I would focus on that from time to time. And it caused me later on in years to see myself as not being coordinated and not really wanting to exert myself physically, not be competitive. But something interesting, I never gave up. And some years later, I ran into my gym teacher. And we were talking, And it was the day that I had decided to take a meditation class, a meditation program. And I was sitting in the room getting ready to be trained and be initiated into that meditation. And in walks my gym teacher from elementary school and later on in high school. And I looked at him and we were talking, and we were talking about those times. And he said, do you remember what I said to you? See, I had been focusing on the embarrassment, the pain, the indignity. But he said, do you remember what I said? And I looked back and I realized what he said was, he yelled to everyone, shut up. Every one of you, shut up. How dare you make fun of this young man? He has more heart than all of you put together. No matter what the outcome was, he never gave up and he always tried. He probably knew this was going to be painful. He probably knew this was going to be embarrassing, but he did it anyway. He tried. And he looked at them and he said, until you have that heart, you don't deserve to say a word in this class. I was so focused on the embarrassment and the pain, I had forgotten that other part, right? And from that point on, I started going back into the past and remembering that second part. Remembering that somebody believed in me, somebody saw something in me that was greater than I was exhibiting in the moment. And see, we can go back into the past and look at that situation. And we can say, oh, it was horrible, embarrassing, and I'm never going to be good at anything physical again. Or we can reframe that and say, I went through a painful, embarrassing moment, but somebody showed me there was so much more inside of me that I had that was equally, if not more valuable than being able to be successful on the first try of vaulting over that horse. And this is really important because sometimes we have a challenging situation. It fails, whether it's something we're doing physically, whether it's something we're doing in work, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, whatever it is, sometimes things don't go as we plan, and we focus on what didn't happen, what didn't work, the failure, instead of focusing on what did I learn from it and how did I grow from it. Because what can happen when we do that? When we go back into the past, we focus on that positive possibility or that positive gift, that positive growth. We can use that to be what I call transferable confidence. And we can bring that into the present. And it changes our attitude about ourselves. It changes our attitude about our ability to be successful, to our ability to create new opportunities, and our ability to turn around challenges when things don't work out. And like that young man learned, it gives us the gift of patience to say, it may not have worked out here in the past the way I thought it was, but these are the things that I learned from it. These are the things that I gained from it. And these are the seeds of future success that I can take from the past, plant them into the present, and they will grow into new opportunities for the future. Do you all see where what I'm getting at here? Yes? Yes or yes? Good. Well, let's take this and let's do an exercise with this, okay? I'd like for you to take a piece of paper and get settled in. And on that piece of paper, draw these 3 triangles, past, present, and future. Now, I'd like for you to, if you would, just sort of spend a few moments and go back into the past, into a challenging situation, something that was a little bit unsettling, a little bit painful, something that you brought back into the present with you that was sort of a negative concept, a negative self-image, a negative viewpoint, because it was a negative situation that happened. So take a moment and think of a situation from the past that was very challenging, brought up some negative memories, and might have challenged your self-image or your confidence. Just think about it for a moment. And on your piece of paper over here on the left side of the triangle in the past, right, what were three opinions, 3 attitudes that created inside of you that have been challenging for you in your life? My 3 challenging things were, back then I was big, I was uncoordinated, and I failed at a lot of things physically. And that made me doubt what I could accomplish growing up, because that was the image that I had about myself because of the experiences I had. But there came a time in my present, the future of my past, where I made the decision that I was not going to accept that anymore. And so I started changing my present. I started working out. I eventually worked out with the trainers. I started paying more attention to my physical strength, my physical coordination, my diet. And I started finding physical activities that I really loved and enjoyed, even though I may not have been the best at it. I loved and enjoyed it. And for me, it was the martial arts. Now, I was one of the oldest people in our martial art dojo. I was one of the bigger folks. I was probably one of the most uncoordinated. But I loved it. And I showed up 3 times a week and I worked hard, you know. And then something happened where we were doing something very difficult and I did not do it right. And I broke my ankle, snapped like a twig, down on the ground I went. And everyone's looking at me, and I'm so embarrassed. And it brought back that moment from the past. Now, I could have focused on that negative moment from the past here in the present and said, you know what? I give up. I give up. I'm never going to be any good at this. Look at what I just did. So it was weeks and weeks in a cast, and then physical therapy. And there came time where the rest of my class was having their promotions to their next belt. And I had been working really, really hard for that next belt. And I was doing everything I needed to do. And then I broke my ankle. And so it came time for us to test. And my instructor said, you know what? Why don't you just come to the ceremony in your cast and with your crutches, and we'll just give you your belt. You've spent enough time. You've shown you can earn it. But, right now you're in a cast. You can barely stand up. And I looked at him and I remembered what my gym teacher said about heart, about never giving up, right? And I looked at my instructor and I said, no. I said, if I can demonstrate to you all of the movements and the techniques needed to pass that belt test, but do it in a wheelchair, would you give me my belt? He said, absolutely. And so I trained for weeks sitting in a wheelchair, practicing with someone who was going to do the demonstration with me. And because I believed that I could, I just had to reframe my physical condition, right? Into, oh, it's a tragedy. I can't stand up. How can I fight someone when I can't stand up? How can I defend someone? Two, I'm in a chair. I can use my different perspective to make the opponent the one who's physically challenged, because he's got to deal with me sitting lower than him in a chair. And so I was able to create 5 techniques that we had normally done standing and do it in a chair and flip this guy around and hit him and did all the things that I was supposed to do standing, and had the opportunity to stand up on 2 crutches out of the wheelchair with the rest of my classmates and receive that belt and receive it with pride, knowing that I earned it. And I had earned it because I had reframed the past and I had changed my present and adapted to the new confidence, right? The new transferable confidence that I created through adapting the situation to what I wanted to change from the past and what I learned from the past. And every day that I rehearsed, I was looking into the future, seeing myself doing each technique perfectly, but doing it from a chair. And I'd never done anything like that before. But every day I practiced, I saw myself doing it in the chair, doing it differently than everybody else did, but doing it successfully, and it manifested. And when I did that demonstration and then I was awarded that belt, people talked about that for years. I would meet people who came to that demonstration, people that were in that class, in that school and left. And even teachers from other schools who my teacher had talked to, they'd say, "Oh, you're the one who did that, got your belt in a wheelchair. I heard your story. It inspired me. I told your story to my students." Do you see what I was doing? Reframing the past, planting the new reframe, the new attitude, the new vision of possibility into the present, and then changing the future. So I'd like for you to do that now with those situations from your past. Taking the negative perspective, taking the perspective of loss or pain or negativity or failure, move that away for a moment. Look at the incidents and look at, but what did I learn from that? What did I gain from that? Right? I can't tell you how many jobs did not work out the way that the expectations were. But what I learned, the skills I learned, the things that I learned how to do, I brought into the future. And it made my present more successful. So shift and reframe now. Take that negative thing, that negative experience, write down on your piece of paper here into the present. What positive things could you bring into the present from that negative situation in the past? What new creativity? What new skill? What new confidence? If it was a relationship that went sour, that ended, what were the good parts? What did I learn that was good about the other person? What would I learn that was good about me? What were my strengths in that relationship? What did they do that were positive? And then bring that into the present to make your relationships better, to make you more positive, to change perhaps your yardstick that you use when contemplating a new relationship. Sometimes we repeat the things from the past because they're familiar, even though they may be limiting, even though it may actually be painful or contribute to challenging us and reducing our effectiveness. They're familiar and we've accepted them as the norm, the reality, or that's what I'm used to. That's all I deserve. We can change that. So look at what you've grown from, how you've grown from that situation. What have you learned from it? How can you apply it in your present? Take a moment and do that. Then after you've written them down, see yourself applying what you've learned from reframing that past situation. What's the new possibility from what you've learned with your new perspective that would cause you to do things differently in the present? Now, take a moment, visualize yourself moving a year ahead into the future. And see what you planted with that reframed viewpoint. See it having blossomed into a powerful future success. See how things have worked out from what you now know. See what you were able to create, what you were able to change, what you were able to strengthen. See it. Feel what it's like to live in that moment. What do you look like? How do you feel? How do you move? How do you act with that new reframed vision of reality of yourself's capabilities? And feel that sense of accomplishment. Feel that sense of power, that positive sense of being, that limitless creativity, that limitless ability to create what you need. And use it all to serve others as well as yourself. See it, feel it, know it, and be it. Okay, so we have looked at a situation in the past. We have reframed the experience we had, and we've focused on what are the positive aspects of that experience we can now focus on. And we have brought it into the present, planted it, nurtured it, worked from it, and now we can look into the future and see it blossom. Feel what it's like to have been successful already, applying those principles. And then bring that back into the present and live it with total confidence, because you've already seen it manifest, right? You have already seen what we have reframed, and you've seen it manifest, right? We've gone from our physical, emotional, memory, and mental self focusing on a negative, and our higher self just sort of watching this happen, to we've changed our thoughts, we've changed our choices, we've changed our actions and behaviors, created new thoughts, new choices, new actions, new behaviors, new experiences, new feelings, and new realities, to where we become completely focused on that new reality. And that new reality is what's seen by our brain, our emotions, our memory, and our mind. And we bring that into the future, seeing it already existing, and we bring that back into the present and live and work and grow from it. Okay. Okay. So we have a little over 15 minutes. What I'd like to do is I'd like for you, the stars of this show, I'd like for you to share, if you would, what was the new reframe you did? How did you bring it into the present? What did you see in the future? And how has it changed your attitude about yourself right now? So real quick, if you could do it in like 2 sentences, because we have a lot of folks here who probably want to share. So just kind of gather your thoughts. What was the reframe you did? What did you bring into the present? What did it feel like when you saw it already manifested in the future? And how is that changing your present now for you? And if you'd like to share, if you want to raise your little mechanical hand that's in the reactions box, you click down at the bottom of Zoom, there's a little reactions box, and there's a little golden hand that says raise hand. And you can be the one to raise your hand first. Okay, Janine, welcome and thank you. If you can go ahead and unmute yourself, I would love to hear what you have to share.
It was a very traumatic incident that I won't go into, but the 3 negatives that I came away from it were: I didn't have the right to my own sovereignty, I get punished for standing up for myself, and other people don't really care about me. So in going back and looking at the situation differently and finding what was positive about it, in the present, I can understand that other people act from their own stories that have nothing to do with me. The second point is that I don't have to let everybody know everything about me. I have the right to protect myself, and that I can find sanctuary and care and support, not necessarily from the people who I think should give it to me, but it is available. And so going into the future now, I have much stronger boundaries and the sovereignty to create my own reality. I have greater discernment as to what motivates others. So then I can choose with whom I want to be involved and have a way to determine if someone is good for me or not.
Wow. That's powerful stuff, Janine. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I thank you so much for sharing that with everyone. We really appreciate that. Okay, Robin, you had your hand up.
I had a situation where, for me, my value, like, you could have all of the skills, because I was a dancer, you could have all of the skills and put in all of the effort, but at auditions, if you weren't what they were looking for or the type, right, it didn't matter. You weren't of value to them. And so we're turning that around to, I've been really working on what is valuable to me based on my integrity and my core values, or my spiritual values, is what I shine forward. And that is a light that draws those that need it to me.
Wow. And how does that feel now in the present? How does that make you feel?
it it feels good. It's a little shaky, you might say, because I feel like it's shaking off old, debris. Or you feel like you're coming out of the pool. It's a little raw, but it feels true. There's just a knowing about that.
And how do you feel about your ability to reframe a situation and turn it into a positive opportunity for yourself?
This is a skill that I've been wanting. So I appreciate you doing this, because I can, there are multiple scenarios that I can start working on now. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for your generosity of sharing your experience with us. Who else? Jocelyn, welcome and thank you. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And there you go.
A little like Janine, it started young with a dramatic situation as well. And in fact, I was about 2 years old, and I dimmed my voice because what I realized in that moment, facing authority and sometimes violence, that it was better not to express, and that expressing was dangerous, and that and it had to do with my voice, because the first shot I was singing and then I stopped singing. But what I learned from that is that at the same time, as I got this dramatic reaction, the person continued for years to say that I had sang at 2 years old perfectly a song. And then the other person I dealt with as well, it was an adult, and I had to negotiate in front of some violence, and the person would react positively every time. So the two things I learned is that I had a voice that could reach out. Second, that voice could be healing, and that is preparing me for a future, getting stronger into not being affected by people limitations and desires, and just keep with my voice and use it as best as possible to communicate far more and reach far more away. And dealing also in those two cases, I think people were kind of damaged, and I learned right there and then to become an expert eventually, and be able in that area of dealing with difficult behaviors and bring it to the world and bring that healing and that voice for that purpose. So they just prepared me, I think, to develop some strength and maturity so that I could address people who are also in a damage or have a great need.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you bring up that point about, we cannot grow, we cannot strengthen without challenge, without stress, right? And so if we reframe the challenging and stressful experiences and look for how is it fostering and nurturing growth and change in us, it's then producing greater strength and greater creativity and greater opportunity to do more and be more in the future. So awesome. Thank you. Samarit.
Thanks, Mike. I raised my hand, but I'm not sure I have the whole circle. But anyway, in the past, I had this situation where I had great authority and somebody was harmed because of it. or as a result. So, and the conclusions that I drew then in the past was my knowledge can harm and it's not safe to be visible. And as I go back now and reframe the past, what I said is, I developed a great dedication and a set of skills to reconnect people to their own wisdom instead of kind of exercising or broadcasting my expertise. So my expertise now is to help people reconnect to their own wisdom. And I see that in the present. I see that in the present where when I do my workshops, sometimes there isn't spectacular results, but I can tell that the person is trusting a new level of knowledge and insight within themselves. But I'm still scared. So I'm doing something differently based on what I have developed, but the fear from the past is still, so the emotional kind of something, energetic signature is still with me. So I tried to project into the future. And the only thing I got was the visibility. This greater visibility is creating an opportunity for spirit or for life to flow through me to touch souls that are deeply thirsty for that contact. Again, de-emphasizes the me, and spirit wants to touch other people, and I need to be visible to be the conduit to that, for that contact. And that did decrease that gave me more, well, I don't know if it gave me more confidence, but it did decrease my fear. So,
and you re-emphasized a definition of courageousness, courage. Courageous people still feel fear, but courageous people don't let that fear stop them. They move beyond the fear because the strength of purpose and their desire to achieve, succeed, or serve at a higher level is greater than their fear. And so this is, thank you for bringing that up, that we are going to feel afraid when we're trying something new. We are going to feel apprehension when we are trying to do things that may not be things that we are experts at, best at, have never failed at. The real courage comes from knowing we've had a lack of success in certain areas, or things didn't always work out, but we do it anyway. We try, we learn, we gain new skills, we gain new knowledge, and we prove the knowledge and turn it into wisdom through action. And that's what I teach in our programs, in our daily Goal Mastery journaling program, goalmasteryjournal.com, in our Your 9 Steps program for Goal Achievement Mastery, in the coaching programs that I have. It's the most important thing is helping you tap into your own courage, your own creativity, and your own ability to harness those energies and move forward by doing a little bit each day, right? The journal organizes you. I'll do a screen share here for people who don't know what I'm talking about. So this journaling program helps you move from the present into the past, into the future, and organize every aspect of your day, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing. It helps you get inspired. It helps you make affirmations. It helps you tap gratitude. It helps you plan and take charge of your day to where you are cause and not effect. You choose the things to do because they are in harmony with the goals, and you choose those goals, and you choose the things not to do, and you choose the people, places, and things to focus on that support your vision, and you move away from the people, places, and things that sabotage. And you work with the power of service, and you work with the power of becoming more organized and planning your goals, planning your strategies, and planning your day. And you look at the progress you've made at the end of the day. You work with your dreams. There's incredible fuel in your dreams to help you reframe the past, plant the seeds of wisdom in the present, and grow them into limitless possibilities in the future. Yeah. The other program we have, the Your 9 Steps for Goal Achievement Mastery, it's a step-by-step program to learn, to go through the journey of self-assessment and self-exploration, begin to develop inspirational DNA alignment, right? Develop strength and stamina, learn how to use special tools, and be able to take that strength and that stamina and marry it to the powers of gratitude and service, and learn to battle procrastination and fear and take massive action, and eventually understand that from our messy past, we can take our mess and turn it into our own message of hope and achievement and service, and take that message and turn it into a movement of service that benefits us and benefits others at the same time. And that's, this program that I've created. I have a program completely directed about your dreams. Learn to remember, interpret, direct, and embrace your dreams. And I have a coaching program, whether it's building your own business, building your bigger life, and now a special program for healthcare professionals. I have the Evolved Health Caring program to help you take new inspiration, whether you are a current or retired healthcare worker, and you want to harness your creativity, your sense of service and purpose, and repurpose it into a new opportunity for the future. I can help you do that. So these are all programs and all things. And we have this Sunday, every Sunday night, we have this mastermind. We have this opportunity to get together, to share technology, share experiences, share information. I guess there was one hand left. Bridget, did you want to share quickly with us what you reframed from the past and how you've applied it to the present before we go?
So, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. For me, in the past, what it was, at least the fact that I could not speak my truth, because whenever I did, people laughed at me. People thought I was weird, because I was, as a child, I had this spiritual insight, and I would tell people things, and they would be thinking that I was a witch or something, because how could I say that? And it's coming to pass. So I learned to shut up my mouth and not say anything, even at school. And I began to feel that I was not worthy. I had nothing good to say, and there was something inherently bad about me, sort of thing.
So how did that change?
Sorry.
What did you change and reframe
Oh,
that you
what I
kept saying?
changed from that is, as I grew and got to a point that I realized that that was a gift from beyond, and I began to nourish it. I began to use it in a way that I would write things down. I would write pieces of poetry and everything, and things like that. And for me, for the future, I still do the writing, and but more importantly is I find that being having the background of education, I get to speak a lot and do a lot of workshops in the communities in various areas, child rearing, school education, working the system in terms of understanding the system. So, and I find that each time I have a workshop, it was like, wow, where did you get that? How did that happen? So for me, that voice, I'm taking that voice now and using it like somebody was doing, using it, yeah, to educate or empower. Yeah, actually, that's the thing I do. Empowering people, empower children for a greater tomorrow is one of the things that I encourage a lot. So
Okay.
I use it to empower others because now I know for sure that that voice I used to hear and I will express and I was told to shut up was the voice of spirit. It was the voice of God. It was the voice of the future. It was the voice that wanted me to be a channel for it.
Yes.
And now I'm getting to do that and I feel much happier.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that hour went by really, really fast. So I want to thank you all of you who've joined us today on Zoom. Thank you all of you who've joined us on Facebook. And I hope that we served you today. I hope there was some concepts, some tools, some ideas that you'll take back with you and look at how you can reframe something from your past, right? Take it, bring it into your present, plant it, nourish it, grow it, and it will flourish into something that will bring tremendous nutrition and service into the future. So once again, thank you very much. I'm so grateful that you're here today. Love you all. Really, really grateful that you joined us. Hope you have a great evening. Hope you have a great rest of the week. And I look forward to seeing you the next time we get together. So take care, everyone.